Welcome to Thrivers Ed, the podcast that's all about giving you the practical, no-nonsense advice you need to level up your life and business. I'm your host, Marcy Rossi, success coach, business strategist, and alcohol-free enthusiast. If you're ready to crush your goals, optimize your productivity, and live your best, most authentic life, then you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into topics like the psychology of success, practical strategies to boost your performance, and the unexpected ways living alcohol-free can elevate your life. Whether you're looking to boost your business, improve your health, or simply become a better version of yourself, Thrivers Ed is here to help you do just that. So grab your iced coffee, buckle up, and let's get thriving. Welcome to another episode of the Thrivers Ed podcast. Today, we're talking about something that you've probably never tied to business, but it can be a serious game changer for you. And that is how quitting alcohol can give you a real competitive advantage in your business. Now, I know what you're thinking. Quitting alcohol, seriously, that's really going to drive profits. But hear me out on this because there is some solid research that shows how going alcohol-free can actually sharpen your edge, boost your performance, and ultimately make you more successful in your business. So whether you're considering cutting back or quitting entirely, this episode is for you. So go ahead and grab your favorite non-alcoholic drink. And if you need some recommendations, reach out to me. There are a ton of great options out there, and let's dive in. So we'll start with number one, which is mental clarity and focus, which are probably the most immediate benefits you're going to notice when you quit drinking. When you drink, even in moderate amounts, it impacts the cognitive functions in your brain. Studies have shown that alcohol impairs your short-term memory, concentration, and the ability to make decisions, both when you're drinking and in the long term. In fact, one study from Harvard found that your brain volume actually shrinks in proportion to the amount of alcohol that you're drinking. So the more you drink, the more your brain shrinks. Now, the good news here is that it doesn't seem to be really killing off brain cells because this atrophy, this shrinking of the brain, has actually shown some major improvement within weeks when people stop drinking. So this part is not necessarily a permanent change, although there can definitely be permanent changes in your brain from long-term alcohol use. So if you're having trouble concentrating, focusing, thinking clearly, it's possible that with a break from alcohol, you'll start to see those negative effects fade away. Now, just imagine how your brain shrinking affects your business. If you're an entrepreneur, your ability to think clearly, to solve problems, and to strategize is absolutely crucial. So by quitting alcohol, you're eliminating that foggy feeling you get in the morning after drinking, and you get to start the day with a clear, focused mind. This clarity allows you to tackle challenges head on and be able to come up with creative solutions. Number two is productivity. Now, we've all been there, that sluggish feeling you get the night after drinking one too many. You just don't really feel like doing anything and just kind of want to spend the day on the couch. And that's because alcohol disrupts your sleep. Now, you might have experienced falling asleep quite quickly and seemingly quite deeply after drinking, but your REM sleep, the one that's essential for you feeling rested, is significantly impacted. And you don't even have to drink a lot of alcohol for it to impact your sleep. In fact, the Sleep Foundation found that even low amounts of alcohol, meaning less than what's considered one standard drink for women or two standard drinks for men, is going to decrease your sleep quality by 9.3%. Imagine something in your business taking a 9% hit day after day after day, right? You would do something about that. And yet we don't think about the connection between that just one glass of wine we might have after work and what it's doing to our sleep and ultimately our productivity. But even if we're drinking occasionally, that impact to our sleep quality is going to compound night after night. When you quit drinking, on the other hand, your sleep improves. Now, this may not happen right away. Your body may need some time to adjust, especially if you've been drinking for a long time. But eventually, you will start to reclaim that deep, nourishing, delicious sleep that was always yours before you ever picked up a drink. And of course, when your sleep improves, your productivity improves. You wake up actually feeling refreshed and ready to tackle the day. Studies show that people who quit drinking report higher energy levels, better mood, and increased productivity. I can definitely speak to all of these things, as can my clients. And what this means is that you get more done in less time, which we all know is ideal. The third way that quitting alcohol can boost your business is that it can lead to better decision making. So when we drink, alcohol inhibits the prefrontal cortex. This part of your brain is like the CEO of your brain. It's responsible for decision making, planning, and self-control. And when you're drinking, or even the day after drinking, your ability to make sound decisions is compromised because of the effects that alcohol has on this area of your brain. So you might find yourself more impulsive, less rational, prone to making more mistakes. And in business, poor decisions and mistakes can be costly, whether that's choosing the wrong partner, making a bad investment, or mishandling a client relationship. These mistakes can set you back significantly. By quitting alcohol, you give your brain a chance to function at its highest capacity, which leads to smarter, more strategic decisions that are going to benefit your business. The next one, number 4, is actually going to combat a myth that you may have heard, and that's that alcohol makes you more creative. So there's this romanticized idea that alcohol makes you creative. When we think about certain artists or painters who were known to have drug and alcohol problems, it can appear that those addictions were actually spurring on the creativity. But the truth is, alcohol is more likely to hinder your creativity. Sure, after a few drinks, you might feel uninhibited, but it also dulls your cognitive function and your ability to think clearly. Now, to be honest, the research on this is a little split, but a recent study had participants drink alcoholic beer either to a BAC of 0.03 or 0.06, and then a third group drank non-alcoholic beer. And then all 3 groups had to complete different kinds of creative tasks. Those with a BAC of 0.06 had impaired verbal fluency, meaning the ability to quickly retrieve words when you're speaking or you're writing. But otherwise, alcohol had no effect on creative ability. It's also important to consider our expectations and the effects that they have on our results. Hint, they have a very strong impact. If we expect alcohol will make us more creative, it's likely we'll feel more creative when we drink. But you know what else we'll feel? Tired, sluggish, foggy, and if you're anything like me, craving carbs. But all of these things are going to distract from whatever creative task we hope to complete. At its essence, creativity is making new connections. So if you're not thinking clearly, the ability for you to create something new, to put 2 competing ideas together and form something new out of it is seriously hindered. When you quit drinking, you open up a whole new level of creativity in your mind because you're not hungover or dealing with anxiety or just that general fog that comes after a night of drinking. You can think more deeply, explore new ideas, and connect the dots in ways you might never have thought of before. That is true creativity. And even if you don't think you have a creative business, your business certainly needs innovative ideas to thrive. It doesn't matter whether that is in marketing or product development or some other kind of creative problem solving. The ability to be creative and to come up with new ideas and solutions is what helps you stand out from the competition. All right, number 5. This one is all about relationships. Your business is built on relationships, whether that's with your clients or customers or your team or your network. It's people. Right? You cannot run a business that doesn't involve people because ultimately someone is purchasing from you. And alcohol gets in the way of true, genuine connection with people. How many times have you said something after a few drinks that you later regretted or missed out on pieces of the conversation because you weren't fully there? When you quit drinking, you have the opportunity to be fully present in your interactions. You're able to listen better, to respond more thoughtfully, and build stronger, more authentic relationships. You're also a lot less likely to embarrass yourself by doing or saying something that you wish you hadn't done or said. In business, relationships are everything. Whether that's building trust with your client or with your team, your ability to connect deeply with others is a significant competitive advantage. There's a reason they say that your network is your net worth, and your network thrives when you show up authentically. Okay, let's switch gears to talking about your physical health, which is something you might not have tied to your business, but it's actually incredibly important. Alcohol takes a toll on your body from head to toe. We all know about the impacts to your liver, but it also causes cardiovascular problems. It weakens your immune system. It's a carcinogen at the same level of risk as tobacco, radiation, and asbestos. And it causes a whole host of other problems in your body. When we don't feel good, we don't perform at our best. It's as simple as that. Even the small effects that seem to fade quickly, meaning that hangover, that pounding headache, or that mild nausea the next day, when you're experiencing those, you're not going to be performing at your best. When you quit drinking, though, your body begins to heal. We talked earlier about how your sleep is impacted, and so you actually start sleeping better, which means your energy levels go up, your immune system gets stronger. And it's not just about physically feeling good, it's about having the stamina to handle the demands of running a business. It is hard to run a business, and it requires energy and stamina and showing up day after day after day. But if you're just constantly sick and tired or just otherwise not feeling well, how effective are you really going to be? And to be honest, gone are the days that there are studies out there saying that moderate drinking benefits your health. I could go into a whole other episode about this because I could talk on this forever, but a lot of those studies were seriously flawed, and scientists are coming out now saying that there is no benefit whatsoever to drinking. So if you want to have the stamina and energy to play this game of entrepreneurship until the end, you've got to cut out that poison. All right, number 7 is money, 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 money. Okay, so alcohol isn't cheap, whether that's buying bottles of wine at the grocery store, having cocktails at a networking event, or even just going out to celebrate a new sale. Those costs add up. And I'm not even talking just about the cost of alcohol. It's that takeout you order because you're too tired to cook after you started drinking, the Uber rides home because you can't drive, or the days or hours you're missing from work because you just don't physically feel well because of that night before. When you quit drinking, you're obviously saving the money that you would have spent on alcohol. But these funds can then be redirected into your business. They can be invested in your business. That might mean investing in a course, hiring a coach, or simply boosting your business savings so that you have a stronger sense of security as business ebbs and flows. Every dollar that you save by not drinking is a dollar that you can reinvest into growing your business. Now, there's a lot of research out there that talks about the amount of money that Americans spend on alcohol every year. And of course, it's a very personal number, but it can range anywhere from $500 to multiple thousands of dollars every single year. And again, that's not counting any of the other associated costs. What could you do with thousands and thousands of dollars being reinvested in your business? Where could you be? And that compounds over time. If you start a business at age 25 and you're drinking for the next 25, 30, 45, 50 years, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars are being lost. Instead of investing in your business, you're really just cutting yourself off from a significant source of growth. All right, number 8 is kind of a fun one. It's your brand image. So as a solopreneur, often you are your brand. And quitting alcohol can actually build a stronger, more positive brand image because it shows that you're committed to your health and your personal growth. Now, I'm not talking about acting all holier than thou and looking down and judging those people that still drink, but really it just shows that you have a standard for yourself, that you want the best for yourself, which is likely going to be how you treat your business. It shows that you're serious about your success. People pick up on this, right? There's a study from the Journal of Business and Psychology that found that individuals who abstain from alcohol are often perceived as more competent, reliable, and trustworthy. So, although it might feel a little awkward at a networking event to not have that liquid courage in hand, it might actually give you an edge. If people are perceiving you as more competent and trustworthy, that's going to be reflected in how they deal with you. Going back to number 5, those business relationships that we develop. They're certainly going to be stronger when people perceive us as more competent, reliable, and trustworthy. And let's not forget about the influence you have on others. Even if you have a small circle, maybe you don't have thousands of followers, but it's likely that your actions will influence the people around you. You might inspire your team, your clients or customers, your followers, your friends and family to reconsider their own habits and make positive changes in their lives as well. And that's really powerful stuff, the ripple effect that we can have. Number 9 ties into this a bit, and that is self-confidence. There's something incredibly empowering about making the decision to quit drinking when it feels like everybody else is still doing it, and then sticking with that decision. You're proving to yourself that you have the discipline, the strength, and the commitment to do what's best for you and your business. And this confidence will translate into how you show up online and how you show up in your business. Going back to networking and your brand image, holding that glass of liquid courage, while it seems like alcohol can actually make you more courageous in that moment, what it's really doing is quieting your inhibitions. There's a reason we get a little nervous when we're meeting new people, and that's because we care about how people perceive us. But the more you drink, and even just a glass or two, that can significantly turn down the volume of that caring, leading us to saying and doing things we rather would not have done or said. So it's not actually that alcohol is giving you courage and confidence to face those things. That fear is still there. That insecurity is still there. You're just turning down the volume. But there's a reason we have these instincts. It's to protect us. We worry because we want to make sure that we're perceived well. Our survival literally depends on being part of the group. What many of us fail to realize is that confidence is a result of practicing a skill. You might not feel confident at a networking event the first time you go without a drink in hand, but it's likely because you haven't had the practice in approaching people without a drink. But it is something you can get better at. It's a skill that can be developed. By consistently relying on a drink in order to quiet those fears, we're perpetuating our need for a drink at each of those situations, instead of allowing ourselves the opportunity to practice and develop a skill, leading us to feel more confident in all those situations in the future. And honestly, confidence is contagious. When you believe in yourself, other people will too, whether that's your audience or your team or the people you're working with. And that could be the difference between being successful and being stuck. Okay, the last element here is sustainability. So running a business isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And for many of us, it's a marathon that we're running perhaps a little slower than we wish we could be, but hopefully we're still moving forward. And the only way that you're going to be able to keep moving is if you commit and keep making steps no matter the pace, just continuing to move forward. You have to be in this for the long haul, and that means you need a lifestyle that supports your business goals. Quitting alcohol is one of those decisions that does that. Now, it's not a quick fix, it's not a band-aid, but over time, it actually creates a sustainable lifestyle that allows you to keep growing year after year. Because each time you choose not to rely on alcohol to unwind or deal with your problems, you're building resilience. You're finding healthier ways to cope. And unfortunately, coping with problems is something that's going to happen when you're a business owner. The problems are not going to disappear. So you have to be resilient in business because entrepreneurship is full of ups and downs. By learning how to weather all of these storms without turning to alcohol, that gives you a competitive advantage that so few people are actually taking advantage of. So before we wrap up today, let's dive into the Thrive in 5, where I give you practical, actionable tips you can start implementing right now to thrive in your business and life. So number 1 is to evaluate your current drinking habits. Take a minute to think about your current relationship with alcohol. Is it truly serving you, or is it actually holding you back? So many of us drink without ever asking ourselves these questions, and so taking a minute to be really honest with yourself about how alcohol is showing up in your life is that first step toward making positive changes. The next step would be to start small. If quitting altogether right here, right now feels a little intense, start by taking a break. My own story started with a dry January that helped me see where I really was in my relationship with alcohol and how dependent I was on it at the time. For many people, a break like that is enough to show you the positive benefits that are so addicting that you want to just keep it up for longer and longer. And this can ease you into your behavior around alcohol without having to commit to never drinking again. Number 3 is to find some new stress relievers. So if you drink, you likely drink to unwind and de-stress. So take a minute to start listing out some things you can do instead that are actually going to leave you in a healthier state, such as exercise, meditation, reading, going for a walk, engaging in a hobby that you love. That list is going to be critical in hand when you are stressed out and that bottle of wine is calling your name. Number 4 is to track your progress. I am all about numbers and data, and whether you keep a physical journal or use an app to track your progress, specifically noting elements such as how you're feeling, your energy levels, and any improvements that you're seeing can really help you stay motivated. And the last one is to get support if you need it. If you're ready to make a change, but you need more guidance and accountability, my Thriving Without course is here to help. It's designed specifically for ambitious women who want to quit drinking and unlock their full potential in business and life with practical strategies, one-on-one support with me, and expert advice. You're going to have everything you need to thrive without alcohol holding you back. So there you have it, 10 compelling reasons to consider quitting alcohol and the effect that it'll have on your business and life, as well as 5 actionable steps to get you started. I hope this episode has inspired you to think about how making this change could positively impact your life and business. And remember, the goal here isn't perfection, it's progress. Every step you take towards reducing or quitting alcohol is a step towards a healthier, more successful you. And if you are ready to go all in, I would love to see you in my Thriving Without course. You can find all the details of that in the show notes for this episode. Until next time, keep thriving.